All right, guys. Hey, we're going to get started here in a second. There are some challenges that YouTube is telling me is popping up. And so checking out a couple of those things there while we're getting things rolling. So thank you guys for joining us today. And we'll get started here in just a couple seconds. All right, guys. Hey, and welcome to my class today. Today, we're going to be talking about mission, vision, and values. And I just want to make sure that we're on the same page as to what we're going to be covering today. So when I'm looking at teaching these classes as a big workshop, we go through a lot of details and we spend some time interacting with each other and helping to realize what mission, vision, values is inside of us, practice putting it out on paper, workshopping it together. And so today's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a much shorter process of understanding why we do a mission, vision, values. What is a mission, vision, and values? And at the end of the day, how can we use our mission, vision, values to catapult our businesses? And that's one of the biggest things that we really, in my opinion, need to understand is that mission, vision, and values, it is a catapult for our business to move forward. And I'm going to talk about a couple of analogies on how we can change the way we look at mission, vision, and values and really use it at a high level to be an execution document, right? An execution document. I don't even know if I want to use that word. It's the execution of our business is coming absolutely from this document. Everything that we're doing is coming into this space. So one of the things that I want to look at and right out of the gate, help you understand the way that I look at mission, vision, values, and see if that doesn't help you understand a little bit more about how mission, vision, and values should be working in our businesses, okay? When I think about mission, vision, values, I think about it like this. Think about it more like an umbrella. And here's our mission, vision, values. Everything that's coming into our world, right? So here's our business. There's a lot of things that are filtering into our business. What are some of the systems we need to use? What are some of the processes we need to use? What are some of these shiny objects? How should we do this? How should we do that? Where's our lead generation coming from? How's our products going to be? There's a lot of things that come at us as we're building businesses. And one of the most difficult things is understanding how to filter those things into our world and utilize them. And that's where I believe mission, vision, values is one of the most important things that we can do so that we can get rid of the noise and understand what's coming at us. So again, there's things that are bouncing into our world and they're hitting onto this mission, vision, values. It's hitting into this filter. And what's really brilliant about this concept is that if I'm standing underneath the umbrella of my mission, vision, values, then I get to see what's bouncing off and I'm picking the things that come into my world. You see, I look at mission, vision, values as a space of know first. It gives us the ability to look at the things that are coming at me, and I can immediately go, that's absolutely a no for its impact on my business based off of my mission, vision, values. So I don't even have to give any time for it to play. If anybody were to come to me and say, hey, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and I look at that, I measure it by my mission, vision, values, I can easily say, man, I know that that's a great idea and I care for you as a person, and yet that just doesn't fit where I am taking my business. And I, again, appreciate everything that you're saying and doing in this moment, and yet that's not something that I need. Okay. So I look at it this way. Here's how most people are looking at mission, vision, values. They're drawing it more like a funnel, and in this funnel is the filter of my mission, vision, values. And I think that everything that comes in is then going to pop out my yes. The reality is that it doesn't pop out the yes. And if it did, it would put out too many yeses that we wouldn't be able to make a great decision. We would be over analyzing every single thing that we touch. But when we look at it from this and we can say no to so many things first, I can pick what comes into my business based off of the mission, vision, values, and in all honesty, based off of the current what's happening in the world. So looking at the time of COVID, I can pivot in my business to what's next based off of the mission, vision, and values that I have set up, the processes that I have set up for my business. And so as something comes in and I need to learn a class about doing virtual tours, and here's 20 classes about virtual tours, what's great about this, I get to pick the best version of that and bring it into my world. The best version of that may be virtual tours for building a large business, because that's what I've got a team. So I've got to be able to take the biggest chunk, versus building virtual tours on an individual privatized basis. It's like, well, that might not help me as much for doing a broad brushstroke that I need. So when I look at this, it's a filter immediately to say no to things, so that then I can get to the meat of what's on the plate and pick the best thing that's happening. The other way that I look at this, though, if you really understand that it's going to be this moment for me to grab things, if I have something sitting on the outside of this and it is a 10, and I have something sitting on the outside of this and it is a 9, and I'm looking at those two things, so I'm now picking between great and greater, which one do I put into my business immediately? There's some simple things we can go through to really help understand which one's going to be the best choice. But at the end of the day, if I were picking a 9 or if I was picking a 10, as in its ability to come into my business and have an impact, I don't have to scrutinize over which one to pick. I just pick and I go. It allows me to create the immediate actionable items into my business, to create then consistency in my business that's really going to catapult my business. So I don't have to scrutinize over a 9 or a 10. If these two things are going to have the same effect of my mission, vision, values, I just pick one. In reality, pick the one that makes you the happiest. Okay. I hope this makes sense. And this is what I want us to do, is to reframe a little bit of how we're looking at mission, vision, values, so it makes sense on how we create our mission, vision, values, and then to let that thing roll and we get on board with where it's going. Instead of saying it's going to give me all of my yeses. If my mission, vision, and values was a magic button to give me my yeses, I would absolutely be teaching this to you. I just don't think that that's true. But I do believe that it has a significance in being able to tell us no, so we can just pick the best things into our business that are going to have the immediate impact, actionable items, and the ones that are going to make us the happiest. So that's how I view mission, vision, and values. And I hope this helps you. I hope this kind of gives you a different perspective on things. When we move into our mission, vision, values, I want us to think of mission, vision, and values in these three aspects over here, okay? I want us to look at mission as movement. I want us to look at vision as a destination, and I want to look at our values as a ticket, okay? And here's what I mean by this. So if I'm looking at movement, right? I'm looking at mission, and mission is movement. My mission statement should help always to catapult me into movement. I'm sorry, I'm using the word catapult a lot. I don't know, it's stuck. It should get us into action. One of the reasons why I believe that it gets us into action, and we'll discuss it here in a second, is that your mission is sitting on top of your cause. Okay, let me make sure I say that again. your mission is going to be sitting on top of your cause, and that cause gives us fuel to keep going forward. Mission is sitting on top of our cause. That's why it's providing the movement. And we're going to look at that. I usually draw from Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. Okay. When I look at vision again, so now we're bringing into vision. Vision is that destination. So now we've got movement and we're moving towards a destination. And I use this analogy all the time when I'm thinking about crafting a vision statement. The old Bugs Bunny cartoons where you've got Bugs Bunny and he's sitting on top of a turtle. Here's Bugs Bunny. This is my terrible drawing of Bugs Bunny. And he's holding a carrot, and that carrot's dangling. And the turtle is always moving forward, thinking that it's going to grab the carrot. It's moving towards the carrot. And the reality is that you and I know, as the onlookers, that like Bugs Bunny has duped this turtle and it's continuing to move forward. In a way, I want my vision to dupe me into believing that it's attainable, but to set it so far off that it is such a great accomplishment that I will never actually see its existence in my time frame. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, and let me explain that again. I want to be able to have it so far out in front of me, but in arm's length that every day my activities can attain it. But it is so great, it is so big, it has such a meaningful impact towards legacy that there's a sense that I will never enjoy the carrot. But the process, the journey of that is going to satisfy the meaningful part of my life, okay? Why that is so important to me is that if I can always accomplish my vision, if there's always this accomplishing of my vision, then I am perpetually resetting myself and reframing myself. And if I'm always doing that, my vision becomes foggy, okay? If I'm always recrafting my vision becomes foggy. There should be something that is infinite on the vision side of things, right? And so when I look at vision, it should be far enough out into the future. It's that distant point that I can now create as a destination. I can always be moving towards it. When I look at vision, the people who do the best on vision, if you want some practice to understand where vision really is being birthed from, go look at some of the nonprofits. One of the ones that I always look at, Rescue Pink. You can Google it, rescuepink.org. I could even drop it into the chat box here. But Rescue Pink is really good. They have crafted a vision that is absolutely brilliant, and everything they do every single day is moving towards that vision. I believe that when they accomplish that vision, that it will be more than likely a time when we're not in existence. Like we're not going to be around to see the accomplishment, but every single day is moving towards such a giant snowball of changing everything about what they touch. And so their vision is so strong to keep them moving forward. Nonprofits are usually good at this because their vision is very singular in focus. And so it does make it a little bit more difficult for some of us who have businesses, especially as we're reaching out, we're touching many segments of business, to create that one singular vision. And yet I'm going to challenge you to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about how to do that here in a second. And then the last thing is values. And values, I'm looking at it as a ticket. And I actually just had this kind of aha this morning when I was working through getting these notes put on. When I'm looking at the whole concept of values, I used to always say it was a vehicle, but that's just not true. I used to say like the values is the vehicle that's going to get us there. You don't get to get into the vehicle unless you like fit these values. The reality is that like what I'm actually describing is a ticket. Values is our ticket. When I create a strong mission, vision, values, I'm essentially creating. I'm in the creating process. I have now given life to something that didn't exist. Okay? So think about it. I'm giving life to something that didn't exist. Here's my business. I want this business to be this. I want to create this legacy out of it. Here's my vision for it. Here's my mission for it. Here are my values for it. If I'm really drawing a strong mission, vision, values statement, then I've created this autonomous being that will move forward when I'm present. If I'm not present, there's a good chance that somebody else is going to grab that idea and run with it, just so that you know it seems to be that way. Great ideas tend to cycle through the great leaders, and the great leaders just tend to do them. So when I look at it as a ticket, though, so here are my mission, vision, and values. So this vehicle's moving. It's like a freight train going. It needs me to get on board. the way I get on board is to live in my values. I have to be the one who is controlling the values of this. I have put the values in place. And so I need my ticket. But everybody who gets on this train who's going in the direction that I'm going, so my business, my consumer, my hires, everything that I do, they have to have this ticket. That ticket is your values. You don't get to be with me or like me unless you have these. That's not to say that we're not going to explore, obviously, who, what, where, and how in the process of where this train's going, right? There's a moment that could pivot in our vision. But the values are almost always going to be exactly the same. Everybody who's getting on board with me needs to have these values. And I want you to think about that too. When I'm creating my value statement, if I'm going to limit myself based off of who has a ticket, I need to make sure my ticket is very specific on who I want to be with me. What characteristics do they need? And where can I have grace on certain areas where I think you've got to have this, but the reality is that, like, I can have grace if you don't have these things, because I know when you check these 5 boxes, that's truly what matters most to me. Okay. So this is when I look at mission, vision, and values. This is what it is to me. And this is what I think it should be to those who are creating a mission, vision, and values statement. When we open that box up a little bit further, this is when we start to understand a little bit more about the how. And this is what I want to talk about next. So when we're looking at the how, missions, the very first thing, missions, said this earlier, it sits on top of our cause. It sits on top of, like, where our big why is within our business, right? And so I'm using this as an example. So start with why. The visual here, the graphic here, it's from Visual Synopsis. I want to give these guys credit. I actually go to and look at a lot of the things that they create. So if you want to be able to have a quick glimpse at Start With Why, I would highly encourage you to go to Visual Synopsis and grab this. If you want the audiobook, Start With Why. There's also a TED Talk. That's usually the thing that I show in my workshops so that people can start to craft their mission statement based off of their cause. But this is the thing that I want to look at. When I am really digging into my mission, when I sit it on top of a cause, when I sit it on top of that, it will always be able to motivate me towards movement. So how I craft it is I need to understand, I need to dig into why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Now, I want to make sure that I'm being clear on this. A lot of times there are people who will talk about a big why, right? So they'll talk about what's your big why for doing stuff, which is really what I call a driving force. All right, I'm just going to write that here. The driving force. What is the driving force behind your everyday activity? For mine, it's the safety of my wife and my family. Every day I wake up and I move towards safety for them. Now, that can be financial safety, that can be physical safety, it can be any of the spiritual safety, mental safety. I'm always moving towards those things. I will wake up on bad days and still do activity because of my driving force. My why in my business is going to sit more of a cause. I started this business because I wanted to affect change in X, Y, and Z, right? That's my why. And when I start with why here, when I look at Simon Sinek's version of this, when I start with why in my business, it makes all of the difference. And I'm going to encourage you to go in and actually dig into the start with why process. Watch the TED Talk, if absolutely nothing else, and at least see how he explains this. And there's this golden circle concept that he talks about, that everybody knows what they do, everybody knows how they do it, but they get foggy when they start to talk about why. When we start with why, we create a passion behind what's going on, and people are attracted to that passion. They want what's happening because of what we've done and what we've created. And that sits into the values, that sits into a cause, okay? So mission, how do we create our mission is we've got to be able to start with why. Now, there's a lot more that goes into that process, and yet until you have this nailed down, it is going to be a little bit more difficult for you to craft a mission statement that you can get behind. I talk to people all the time. A lot of what we end up with a mission statement is really our vision, and our vision tends to be our mission. It flip-flops all the time, and I think it's because when we look at starting with why, our cause is so strong that it can feel like a vision, but it's got to be able to create movement. So our mission statement has to be able to create movement. So we've got to be able to craft it in a way that creates movement. The way we do that is to be able to slap it on top of cause. Cause gives us the ability to do things on our bad days. It gives us the wherewithal to do it on the good days. It keeps us moving forward perpetually. Okay, so start with why is the big thing on that one. On our vision. So when I look at vision, I do this exercise with everybody. This is about getting outside of our mind. So how I would craft my vision statement, I need to think in visionary terms, right? I need to think in future presence. The hardest thing about vision is that it's always a juxtaposed thought, right? I even gave this to you a second ago. It's the turtle chasing the carrot that it'll never actually attain, right? I've got to be able to create a goal that I'll never be able to attain. I've got to make it wide enough to accept as many people as I can, but narrow enough to have its own space. I got to be able to just think about myself in the present and in the future, and they are the same thing. It's really a weird process to be able to get our minds shifted out into that juxtaposed thought processes. So when I look at it, the way I help move us into that direction is I use this grid, and it's really just about going through and saying, okay, in 1 year, this is what I did. This is how it feels. And that's an important column there. How does it feel when I accomplish what I said I was going to accomplish? Those feelings are more than likely going to be, their origin's going to be within vision. Okay. The feeling of it, the words that we choose to describe our feelings are more than likely going to be inside of our filters, inside of our origin. Okay. And what did they gain? This is one that kind of trips people up a little bit. If in 1 year I was able to accomplish this, it felt like this, the people who were around me, what did they gain? So if I was able to achieve a crazy goal, like I was able to make the $200,000 net this year that I wanted to make for my family. Well, the people who were around me, my family set financial goals that they were able to gain the pool that we had dreamed of. They were able to gain the vacation that we had always dreamed of. They were able to gain the college funds that we were able to, right? So what am I doing? How did it feel? What did they gain? So those who are around me, what did they gain? That doesn't necessarily have to mean family. If you look at year 1, year 3, year 5, year 10, there's a different who that is going to be around you. The way that I look at it, the most impact that somebody's going to have on a year of my goals where I'm at right now is more than likely going to be those who work with me. So they gain the freedom to be able to have encouragement and growth in their business, whatever that may look like. Year 5, year 10, man, as I'm getting older, those are going to look more like retirement goals, which mean what they gained may have been my family got me present with them all the time. And again, I'm hoping this makes sense as you are thinking about how this usually this tends to be about an hour and a half in any workshop that I've ever done, where this is the longest portion of what we do because it's the hardest for us to get our minds jolted out of the monotony of our day, out of our singular space of like what's happening right now, our instant gratification, and to start thinking future proof. Now, when I look at the 1, 3, 5, 10, and 20, the thing that I usually make people do is write your age in that space. It's pretty interesting how we don't realize how old we're going to be in 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 years. And what I love about it is I will have these classes where I'll have older folks in with us, more mature folks. I don't know how to say that the way that doesn't make me offend somebody. And so I look at it and somebody says, well, man, Randy, in 20 years, I'm going to be dead. And I'm like, what a beautiful thing to think about then. That what did I accomplish in 20 years? How did it feel when I accomplished that? I was no longer present, but my estate was able to take care of everything. The legacy that I left, the vision, the ideas that I had within me, they all came to fruition through my processes. I think that's something that's really significant to look at. And so when we can understand what's happening in our world and really dig into it and look at this grid and fill it out, think about it and fill it out, it really has a huge impact on crafting a true vision that's moving or that's a destination that I can begin to move towards. Okay. The feeling side is really, that's where most people get tripped up. They have this block to talk about feelings, and we have like 4 or 5 feeling words. I would encourage you, like I do almost in every single workshop that I start, get you a thesaurus, get you something, make a word bank, and start describing things that you want to be described as, describe how, the descriptive words that you like the most. Start writing out words, because you've got to be able to start clearing your brain into a space to think positive, to think future minded, to think in a way that we're just not used to. Every single day, we are in an instant gratification. What am I doing today that can move me forward? And so you've just got to jolt your mind out of some of these things. So, and the last thing is about values. Now, when I look about values, how you craft your values, in my opinion, is that it's crafted out of relationships. Everything that I look at, values is crafted out of our relationship bone. And here's what I mean by that. If I were to get into a relationship with somebody, there are certain values, certain characteristics that they have to have for me to say, okay, cool, I'm in, thumbs up. Let's explore what this looks like. Let's have the second date. Let's go on the third date. Let's maybe look at being a friend. Yeah, I'll show up to your cookout. Sure, we'll go hunting for whatever it looks like, because it's like that. I wanted you to think about in that romantic or that friendship or that deeper than just acquaintance, deeper than just we know each other. It needs to be like, this is somebody who I would consider a friend. And when I look at that aspect, when I'm looking at values through that scope, the characteristics that they have to have as a person are absolutely the same things that I desire to be experiencing in the business. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I will always have and describe my business in a romantic sense, but it does mean that if I am really looking at people who I want to be around me, the effect that I want to have, it really is going to be synonymous with the values that I feel, the innate values that I have for being in a relationship with somebody. And if we begin to filter it through that, if you started there, I promise you, crafting your value statement will be so much easier, and it will have it'll impact more, right? So the how-to on all of these things, again, the workshop opens us up for like a 3 to 4 hour workshop in which we're really getting into the meat of this. But if you want to be able to understand how you begin crafting your mission, vision, values, these are the easiest steps to take to get your mindset in the place to be able to start. And I will always tell you that my goal in any of the classes that I teach, start with values. Values helps us to get into the right space. And then going backwards again into vision and then into mission. So this is what mission, vision, and values. This is the what is it? It's movement, right? It's destination. It's our ticket. How do we do it? We do it really starting with why, having our cause. We really get into the understanding, like on the vision side of thing. How does our vision grid work out? And we look into the values. What are the relationship side of things? If we take those whats and we take those hows, it really helps us to craft a good mission, vision, value statement that will, again, have momentum and carry itself forward so that then I don't hit glass ceilings. I don't have goals that are empty. I'm actually attaining the things that I have set in space. I'm not just thinking about what could be good. I'm actually moving towards what is, okay? When I look at all of this, the reason why, to me, this is so important is that without mission, vision, values, it's like playing the lottery with what we're doing, right? It is the same as if we were playing the lottery. I want to really attain this goal. Every single day, I'm going to do things that look similar to that goal. And so hopefully by the time it's all pieced together, we'll get there. So that's the same as if I'm like, I want to be able to have wealth. Every single day, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket because it looks like wealth. And eventually, maybe it'll help me get there. Well, we know that the odds of hitting the lottery are very slim to none. And so if I'm going to play that same game with my business, I am more than likely, slim to none, going to hit the goals that I have set for me, fulfilling the desires that I have for my life, and not having this burnout, this glass ceiling, or these unattained goals. And so when I'm looking at mission, vision, and values, I am now purposeful towards what I want to accomplish in my life. In Keller Williams, we call it moving from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. It's crazy to think that we would play the lottery with something that's so important to our life, bringing the meaning. And here's why that analogy actually hits home to me. I was watching this video the other day. This guy spent $60,000 on scratch-off lottery tickets just to see what really happens when we do this. Where is the true return on the investment of purchasing lottery tickets? And so as he was going through doing all the scratches and scratches and scratches, it took him for stinking ever. And it was the most boring part of the video. But it was interesting watching every time he scratched one that was good, the elation of like, oh yeah, we got a winner. And yet he was also watching the ticker of how much he had spent, how much he had gotten back. And watching that go slowly, he still had this extreme elation every single time. But what he didn't have was this extreme sadness of like, oh, every time one dropped out. And I think that's the feeling that I watch when people are executing their businesses or executing what they want to accomplish without having a mission, vision, and values. It's what Gary Keller says all the time. We're losing so slow that we think we're winning. That guy was scratching off lottery tickets and he was losing so slow that he thought he was winning. By the time all was said and done, he lost between $10,000 and $13,000. I'd have to go back and look. It cost him $10,000 to $13,000 to play $60,000 worth of lottery tickets. When we don't have a mission, vision, and value statement that is very succinct and moving us in the right direction, we're playing the lottery, but the challenge is that much more is at stake than $10,000 to $13,000. Man, it's our dreams, it's our legacy, it's our meaningful life. It is everything that we are pouring ourselves into. It's our 12-hour work days. When we miss the mark on those elements, it costs us way more than $10,000 to $13,000. I've watched dreams fade away and die, and I've seen brilliant people leave industries that I knew that they would be just miracle workers, because at a certain point, there was enough burnout, there was enough ceiling that they didn't know what to do next. And the only option for them was to drop out and to find something new, to find another path forward. I believe that when we focus on our mission, vision, and values, and we have clarity around those things, and we look at it through this scope, every single day, we are taking a step forward towards the destination that we want, bringing the people along with us that look like us, that act like us, and that will, at the end of the day, fulfill my life. Okay? Mission, vision, and values. It's about being purposeful more so than it ever will be about playing the lottery with your life. Do something that matters. And to do something that matters, we have to have the cause behind it. Mission, vision, and values. It's our purpose and our cause. It keeps us going. It is the fuel to our daily tasks. It is the fuel to our feelings. It is the fuel to everything that we touch. So I hope this helps you to reframe a little bit about how you're thinking and what you think about when you look at mission, vision, and values. I know that there's a few of you guys who are on with me right now. So if you had any questions, guys, go ahead and pop those up into the chat menu there. You're welcome to go ahead and ask away. I'll feel free to I will feel free. You're welcome, right? I'm sorry. I will answer. Feel free to put the questions in there, and I'll answer as much of them as I can in real time. If any of you have any specifics about mission, vision, values, you're also welcome to type yours in there if you want me to take a look at it. I have no challenges workshopping anything. We do have a little bit more time to do that. So I feel like I have jabbered enough right there to be able to see if anybody has anything to say. So by all means, type it in there. Let's see what we have. And I'd love to be able to help out if you have any questions or comments. But that's the meat of what I wanted to share with you guys today. Understanding what mission, vision, values is, reframing our brains to understand that, the little glimpse of how I craft it, the first step that I can take to get into this, to move towards it, and then just start wrestling with it, guys. It is a document that needs to be wrestled with. When I created mine for what I do, it was about 36 hours of like just not total. I didn't do it like for 3 days straight, but like I was doing it, put it away, come back to it, do it, come back to it, come back to it. I was a process of building it up. So, all right. So I don't see any comments coming in. I'll give you one last little second. I want to thank real quick Crystal, who does so much. She's my executive assistant. She does so much to help me out. So thank you, Crystal, for putting all this together, making sure that I look good, that I feel good, that I'm working really well, and that we can achieve the goals that we have. If you are with us, my ask is that you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be bringing content like this all the time, training, inspiration, direction, all of the above, just to make sure that we can always be contributing back to everybody, really. My goal is that we would all be better together. I really want to see that there's a platform that is established that we can share with each other, we can grow with each other, and then we can make a difference in the world, because I believe that we can. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you. No comments coming in. Y'all are awesome. Be amazing. Change the way you look at things, guys, and the things that you look at change. So go think about that and do some amazing stuff today.